Alan, what's the most important thing to keep in mind about what makes these river debates so difficult to resolve?
One thing to keep in mind when you're looking at how emotional and how intense these debates get is to remember that not every decision that is made in life is always based on money. If you take a look at the Mississippi River barge interest, you're looking at $7 billion potentially in disrupted traffic in December and January. That's a lot of money. But as you go upriver in the Missouri, you see a bunch of other interests come into play. You see the irrigation interest. You see the recreation interest. You have Indian nations that have tribal commitments. You have a lot of emotion tied into this river and the management in it, and it makes these very complex decisions to make. Even from a dollars and cents perspective, it seems like a fairly easy call for the Obama administration.
Well, Alan, how certain is it that traffic on the river is going to stop?
Well, that is difficult to say. When you take a look at the Army Corps of Engineers, they're expecting next week they're going to see some pretty serious river level dropping to the point where it's going to start impeding traffic. And really around Christmas time, you could see levels getting to the point where a halt may be possible. Now, that's ultimately the call of the Coast Guard, not the Army Corps of Engineers. But if you are a barge shipper, you're at a point now where you really have to start looking at other options for transportation. And given the efficiency on a dollars and cents basis of barge traffic versus rail versus truck, a lot of folks may just be keeping stuff in warehouses, and that could lead to some shortages of some key commodities such as fertilizers going into the next growing season.
And Alan, you were covering that drought for us in the Midwest this summer. Did this debate over the water levels of the Mississippi, did it get lost in all of the other noise?
Well, this is something we saw coming for some time. You know, a drought is a slow motion disaster, so certain things you start to anticipate. People were hoping that rainfall would come and alleviate the situation on the Mississippi and Missouri this fall. We are still officially in a drought. You don't hear about it as much because the harvest is in, but the subsoil moisture condition is still bad going into next year. And what's ironic was that in 2011, the big problem along the Missouri was record flooding.
Yeah.
The weather patterns are just getting more volatile.
Alan, we have about 30 seconds left. These debates, are they going to become a permanent fixture in politics as more resources are at this point demanded from the waterways?
Well, you know, it's interesting you bring that up because on Monday I was at the Standing Rock Sioux Nation over in Fort Yates, North Dakota, and they were talking about how they've seen a century of river development, and in the end they believe that the river always wins. And as you take a look at these debates, it does seem that in the end the river is going to have the final say.